What's going on, DFS Army? Craig Bennett, aka Cash Keg, coming at you for another NBA First Look for Wednesday, August 19th. 4-game slate, just like Mondays. So, and the Lakers are getting beat right now against Portland. But, yeah, 4-game slate. Like I said, we're going to have this alternating days. We're going to have the same people playing. As we look into this, hopefully the sites adjust. I think the edge that we'll find are players that the salaries might not have adjusted enough, or people will chase games. And I think that's where we can kind of find an edge a little bit. But with that, if you're not a DFS Army member, head on over dfsarmy.com. Promo code CashKeg. Save yourself 20%. Check it out. Late addition to the core today was DJ Augustin. Absolutely killed it today. So hopefully you were in there and got that information and put him in your lineups because he was still only around 15% owned on DraftKings and tournaments. And on FanDuel, he was less than 6% owned. So, again, that was late information when Gordon was out. We got that out there. So I hope you were able to take a part of that if you are a VIP member. If you are not, then please head on over, join us, and get that information. Also, prop bets, man. I'll do another prop bet video in the morning once we get some props out, or I'll do it late tonight depending on when things drop because I didn't see that many yet for tomorrow's games for the Utah game. But we went 3-0. Bam, over 15.5 points. Fournier got hot in the third and fourth, which helped hit over 2.5 threes, and then Chris Paul over 1.5 threes. So the last 2 days up 6-1. So hopefully we'll keep the train rolling and throw some picks out there for you right now. But enough of that. Let's head on over and check out today's slate, or tomorrow's slate, I guess. So here we go. Wednesday. First game, Brooklyn at Toronto. Like I said, this game, Brooklyn's here to play. On Monday, I gave you a low-owned pick with TLC, and he absolutely killed it. Got 10x his value in DraftKings. Just did a fantastic job. So he's the kind of guy that we got to look at. And but let's look at the over-under this game real quick. It's a 226.5 over-under. Toronto favored by 11. Still double-digit favorite, so they're still not giving any love to Brooklyn here, but Toronto is just a better team. We'll look at both FanDuel and DraftKings pricing here, but we'll start on the FanDuel side, and we will start with Toronto. And look at over FanDuel, Kyle Lowry, 8K. They have priced him up. He put up 36 FanDuel points last game, put up 38 minutes. To me, Van Fleet had the monster game. He seems to be the guy that's scoring a little bit more this year. Put up 56 fantasy points, still played 38 minutes. Both these guys were about $1,000 cheaper last slate, so they did price him up a little bit here. Siakam is 7,800. He just has not looked himself really all the time in the bubble. He put up 30 fantasy points, but he hasn't had over a 40 fantasy point game since August 1st against the Lakers. So only saw 31 minutes. So maybe that's a position you take a little bit. People are down on him because he didn't put up a big number, and we all know he can put up a 60 spot, but he looks a little off. Ibaka, 5,800. That salary didn't move him much. I think he was 5,600 last game. Put up 36 fantasy points, 25 minutes. So he comes off the bench. They're starting Marc Gasol, 4,500. Problem with Marc Gasol is he doesn't play a ton of minutes. He starts, played 20 minutes, 16 fantasy points. That's why I'm not going to play Marc Gasol. I don't recommend playing him. Powell, OG, 4,700. Powell, 4,700. Both those guys are in play. That's about it. Powell is hard to play because, there's only so many guard slots to go around. OG's always in play because he's that small forward slot, 4,700. But let's look at over here at DraftKings and see some pricing. Kyle Lowry is 8K again over here, so that's priced up. Fred VanVleet, 7,600. Siakam, 7,500. Ibaka, 5,700. OG's 4,400. And Powell's 4,300. Gasol's 4K. I still think there's some value in Ibaka here and OG. And then at these salaries, don't play Kyle Lowry or Van Fleet in the same lineup. They're just too expensive. I would pick one or the other, and I think both are cash viable here. And then Siakam's just a tournament guy for me. Just until he can show me things are a little different, I'm not going to touch him. And then that's about it. They run really tight rotations. We did see a little Terrence Davis, but again, I'm 3,400. That would be like a 1 in 150 kind of play, but I would leave that alone. But while we're here on DraftKings, let's head on over to Brooklyn side and see what they got. They are playing it's inspired basketball right now. It's really fun to watch them play. LeVert is priced up to 8,200 over here on DraftKings. Put up 47 fantasy points in 35 minutes, and he did it with 15 assists. I believe that was a career high of 15 assists. Didn't shoot a lot, 14 shots. For him, that's not very many, but he was a facilitator, and they needed it. And even against a tough team, he put up 47, and I think he still has upside to 60 even against this. But GPP at 8,200, it's hard to trust him. Jared Allen at 7,100 over here at DraftKings, put up 35 fantasy points in 34 minutes. Again, I don't think we see a ton of Gasol, and Ibaka's getting old. I don't mind some Allen at 7,100. I'll look how the rest of the slate goes out, but I think you can play him. Joe Harris at 5K, no problem going there. He's going to shoot a ton. TLC did get priced up. He was 4K. He's now 4,700. I still think he's the scorer off the bench, kind of that six-man form right now. So, if you want to take a shot at him or Temple, and then Tyler Johnson at 4K here, that's about all I would look at. Old Chios is down here at 3,200. He saw 7 minutes, put up 8 fantasy points. I don't think we wanted that. Tyler Johnson's, again, like I said, 4K, had 17 minutes and 12. So really, you're just looking at these top 5 guys. And I think with TLC, with how well he's been shooting, he shot 6 from 9 behind the arc. Put up 26 real-life points, 40 fantasy points. Like I said, he played 33 minutes. So, still at 4,700. Don't think he's going to be that efficient in his shooting, but that doesn't mean I don't want to play him. But like I said, we'll have to see how the lineup construction comes across. But let's go over here at FanDuel and look at their pricing for the Nets. And again, LeVert up to 8,400. I think he was 81 or 82 last slate. And again, this next game we'll talk about Utah. You didn't need him, even though he put up 43 fantasy points because it just went bonkers. Jared Allen, 72. Guys I think are just going to be tournament plays that you don't want to run in cash against Toronto. But TLC's 4,400 here over shooting guard. I have a lot of love for that price again. Him and Garrett Temple both. Garrett Temple's 4,300. I think I'd stick with the cheaper Nets here. 34 minutes, put up 21 fantasy points. Portland, he put up 33. I think these guys are even with the minutes they're going to play and how Toronto runs really guard heavy. I think they have no problem running a bunch of guards. So I think I would stick with Joe Harris, 54, TLC, Garrett Temple. I think all three of those are actually cash playable at their price. And then Allen and LeVert would be more of your tournament guys. Let's head on over while we're on FanDuel. Go to the Utah at Denver game. 217.5 over under. Denver favored by 4. Now, let's talk a little bit about this game just in how I think Denver completely failed themselves on Monday. They let Mitchell. We talked about how Mitchell was going to be a fade because Malone would do the right thing, try to lock him down and make somebody else beat him because they don't have Conley. We don't have Conley this game. He's still out. And the only really scorer they have is Mitchell. Why would you not stop him and let Ingles beat you or something like that is beyond me. So I still think 8,200, he is priced up. He was 7,300 on FanDuel last week. And I think that Denver's going to go back to the drawing board. People are going to be all over this play, Mitchell. And I think Denver's going to react. And I think this is fine. I'm going right back to the fade here. I think they're like, hey, we're not going to go up there. Jokic was sagging off pick and rolls, which is ridiculous, letting him shoot the three. He wouldn't fight through them. They have to come up with a different game plan or it's going to be more of the same. I'm not going to say this is a complete fade, but whatever the ownership we found on him tomorrow, I'm going to be underweight. I'm going back to that. And this is where I think you can find it a little bit of an edge. Still on this Utah side, Jordan Clarkson, 5,100. He did not shoot very well at all. But again, if I feel like they're going to shut down Mitchell, more of those shots are going to go to Clarkson. And I think with him priced up a little bit, and he's not the 4,300 he was last week, or I'm sorry, on Monday, not as many people are going to go there. So 5,100, I have no problem playing a little bit of Clarkson. 5,500 Ingles with Conley out. Again, we talked about this. Hit it with the prop bet too. He is going to have to shoot more. He's going to have to be more of a ball handler as well. So 5,500 on FanDuel, I will go right back to well here and have a ton of him. I think I had 60 or 70% in tournaments. It was a crazy slate. I have no problem going there. Rudy Gobert, 7,800. He's getting priced up, but, on Monday, I think he ended up putting up like 40 fantasy points, 43 fantasy points in 42 minutes. Again, they don't really have anybody, so they're playing with Conley out. It's Mitchell, Gobert, Ingles, Clarkson. O'Neal at 4,400. I will still go back here. He got into foul trouble. And this is, again, where I think you can go back to guys where your people are going to fade and have that recency bias click in. 31 minutes. And he even had foul trouble and put up 13. But we go back to Denver when we put up 39 minutes. Got that extra steal, block, more rebounds, more points, put up 30. And at 4,400, I'll take that all day long. So I will be going back to Royce O'Neal. We did see Juwan Morgan start. He ended up putting 14 fantasy points in 25 minutes. That's not going to win you a tournament. So even at power forward, I'm not excited about that. Basically, I'm going to go back to the same way I played it on Monday and hope Malone makes the adjustments, because if they don't, Mitchell's going to keep burning them. I'm not saying a complete fade on Mitchell, but in tournaments, I will still attack it the same way. Let's head on over to DraftKings, see their pricing they have on the Utah Jazz. Mitchell, 9,200. Now, that is a fade for me. 9,200. That pricing algorithm said, hey, you're going to throw a 70 bomb on our butts. We're going to price you up. I'm sorry, 81 burger up. 43 minutes. Shot 33 times. I just do not see him putting up 57 fantasy points. Everyone's going to chase him. I am not paying that. Rudy Gobert, 7,400, I think is viable again. With that 40 spot he put up, you're around 6x at that price point. But again, I will still go back and be heavy with Bogdanovich out and Conley not here. Go back to Joe Ingles, 5,600. Go back to Clarkson at 4,700. Royce O'Neal, still 3,700. He was 3,600 on DraftKings on Monday. And I think you just go right back to the well with him here. Hopefully people get off and they get scared of it, and the recency bias is going to click in. But again, I will go right back there. Morgan at 3,200. Again, he started, saw 15 fantasy points. That's not going to win you anything. He only saw 5 shots because he wasn't shooting anything. He's just more out there as a warm body. Let's slide on over to the Denver side. Denver ended up winning this in overtime, so a lot of these minutes are going to be boosted up a little bit with the OT that they played. The Joker's 9,700 on DraftKings, so he is priced up to a point where, he's still got 60 burger in him, but that's a point where we have to look at the pricing as a whole. So definitely in play, but that's getting to the point where you can look at maybe I don't need him. Jamal Murray's still a nice price here, 7,200. Went off in the fourth and OT, put up 59 DraftKings points, played 40 minutes, probably played 35 in regulation, and then played that OT, 5-minute OT. So I don't mind going back there. Michael Porter Jr. only played 31 minutes, did not play the OT if I'm correct. I think it was Grant that was doing a lot of the work. Again, saw 13 shots, 27 fantasy points at 7K. Tournament only because of that. As long as we have Gary Harris and Barton still out, I have to look at injuries. I want to say that they are still out. Let me look real quick just so I can see if we have anyone sit in this game. Because if Barton and Harris are still out, Jeremy Grant's still sitting at 4,600. Yeah, it looks like Barton is still out here. Gary Harris is still out. So as long as those guys are still sitting, Jeremy Grant, again, closed that. Didn't start, but ended up closing the OT. Played 40 minutes, put up 28 fantasy points. I still think that there's some meat left on the bone there. Paul Millsap started 4,300, 29 minutes, saw 20 fantasy points. It's really, really, really hard to trust him with the shots he gets, but at that price, you can kind of look at him. And then Monte Morris might be a little sneaky at 3,700 here in DraftKings. Put up 20 fantasy points, 29 minutes. Really efficient with his time on the court. Plum Dog Mason Plumlee, 3,500, put up 16 points. Only saw 11 minutes, but he had 3 fouls. He was a foul machine. PJ Dozier, he saw 20 minutes, put up 9 fantasy points. Maybe see a little bit of him. Corey Craig, 3,100. I'm not really loving all this. I think I'm going to stick to Murray. Could be a cash play at that price. Grant, Millsap. Grant Moore, I think of a cash play because I think the minutes are going to be there, where Millsap and Morris are going to be more GPP. And there's big upside with Morris if he's going to be efficient like that. But let's head on over to FanDuel real quick and check the pricing of the Nugs over there. Jokic is 9,300 over there. Definitely, they all priced him up again. He was about 8,500 or 8,600 on Monday on FanDuel. Jamal Murray, 7,500. Again, I think he's going to be extremely popular because it's the same players, and we only had like 3 or 4 really good point guards. So you can kind of understand how that slate went, and people are going to go back to it. But again, Murray, 7,500, cash playable. Porter, 6,700. He went down $100, I believe, from Monday. GPP only for me. He was like 40% owned in that $3. It was crazy. But again, because the game he had, people are going to get off him. So maybe you want to get higher on him, and hopefully his shot starts falling, and he puts up on those 40 or 50 pieces. But with Murray back, I don't know if we're going to see a ton of those shots because Murray's going to take them. Jeremy Grant, 4,700. Millsap, 4,800. Monte Morris, 3,900. I think that's the crew. Him and Murray, even over here at FanDuel, is where I would look. Plum Dog, 3,600. I can't really go there. Deep GPPs, maybe a PJ Dozier, but I don't think you need to get to that point. But let's head on over to Philly at Boston. Let's look at the Sixers side of this game. Let's see if we got a over-under on this bad boy. But we do have some. So we got a 214 over-under with the Celtics favored by 4.5. And the big injury news for this game, which kind of stinks, I feel bad for him. Gordon Hayward twisted his ankle and grade 3 sprain. And he's going to be out, I think, I thought it was like 3 or 4 weeks. He's going to be out a while with that sprain, which really sucks, coming off that big injury. Looked really good there before that happened. So we're probably going to see Marcus Smart slide into that starting lineup. And Jason Tatum absolutely had a monster game against Philly. He's 8,700 over on FanDuel. Put up a 57 FanDuel piece here. 3 blocks but 32 points in 41 minutes. So without Hayward, I think it just, he's fine to play in there. Lineup construction, we'll have to see if we have value to fit him. I'm assuming Porzingis is going to be expensive as well, and with him getting ejected, we'll get to that. We might see a lot more ownership on Tatum, and maybe this is the pivot to go back to Porzingis, and hopefully he doesn't have a big game. Jaylen Brown, 7K. He had a big game. He's probable to play. Put up 49 fantasy points in 38 minutes. I think he's very much in play at that price point with no Hayward. It's one less guy we got to guess. Walker didn't look great the first game. He was only 6K on FanDuel. Put up 29 fantasy points. But just not looking like Kemba. At that price, I would much rather go to a Murray. So I don't think we have to go there. But again, recency biased, he still has upside of a 40 piece. So maybe you want to look at him. Marcus Smart, 5,600, I think is going to be kind of popular at that price point and starting. Especially FanDuel blocks and the steals count for 3. So you do get a boost there. Daniel Theis, 55K. I don't think I can pay that. One thing I noticed coming off the bench for Theis, Time Lord, man, put in 12 minutes, and Cantor didn't come in until a little bit later. He was 3,500, and I think he only saw 8 minutes. So you can't really trust what he's going to do, and so I'm not sure what Brad Stevens is going to do. I just kind of leave that alone. I think I would stick to Tatum, Brown, Smart, and then just a little bit of Walker here. Let's see what the Sixers are on FanDuel. Joel Embiid, 9,300. So basically, they just bump these guys up. So you're still making the same decisions you did on Monday, which Joker got a 50 spot. You had to get the OT to get there. However, you got a 50 spot. And B put up around the same 50. So it didn't hurt you or bite you in the butt one way or the other. So you're going to have to come down and make this decision. I still think they're going to put the onus on Embiid to, hey, carry the team, get us there. Tobias Harris, 7,200. Still go right back to well with him. Love Tobias Harris. He's just going to play all the minutes he can handle. End up having 38 fantasy points. I'll still take that for 7,200. It's safe. His minutes are safe. He's going to pay 38 to 40. Al Horford at 5,500. I'm not in love with that, man. I'd rather come down here to Alec Burks at 4,100. He's the scoring off the bench. They'll need it. Josh Richardson at 4,900. I'd rather have Alex Burks, honestly. Shake Milton's 3,900. And how many minutes he played? He played 25 minutes, only put up 14 fantasy points. He just hadn't shown me anything that I can get a 30 burger out of him and win me a tournament. So I'm basically going to play a ton of them. Harris, then Embiid, then Burks, and then maybe sprinkle in some Richardson or Horford. But the three main guys are Burks, Harris, and Embiid. But let's slide on over here DraftKings real quick and check out the pricing for both teams. We'll look at Philly and Boston. Philly, wow, Embiid, 9,900. Now, we just looked at Denver, and we talked about 9,700. So, again, these are very similar price, or not similar prices, but similar structure where the studs are just priced up more. But 9,900, I don't know. I don't know if I can get there. Tobias Harris, 7,700. Again, I like him, but I think he's a better FanDuel play. Al Horford at 6,700. I don't think so. Again, I think it's this Alec Burks for me. We got to see if we got enough value to slide in an Embiid and a Joker lineup. But again, Tobias Harris is kind of priced up to his ceiling, so I don't really love that. And then Horford 6,700 just feels expensive. So I think I'd like Burks the most out of these guys and just kind of leave it at that. Over here on the Boston side, Tatum 9K. So man, yeah, it's going to be interesting making lineups tomorrow because all these guys are way more expensive. And Brown 7,500, Walker 6,800, Smart 5,600. So I think just looking at the pricing, going through a few of these teams right now, that we're going to see probably a pretty chalky Smart. And Marcus Smart, a chalky Marcus Smart, that's a decision you have to make. Are you going to jump on that chalk? You're going to get away with it. It really depends on how much leverage we have. If there's somebody else that we can throw in there. But usually a chalky Smart is never good. But we'll see how ownership comes up. Again, head on over to DFS Army. If you're watching this on Twitch, please give me a follow. If you're watching this on YouTube, please hit the like button. Please subscribe to the channel. Really appreciate it. Love doing these guys for you. But I'd really appreciate if you guys would hit a subscribe. And if you're not a part of DFS Army, head on over to dfsarmy.com. Give us a check out, man. See if we can get another DJ Augustin call as a core play for tomorrow. But back at it. Boston. Dice 4,700. I just think that we're going to probably play Smart's going to be the highest owned guy here just with pricing. And then I would look at a Brown or a Walker here. Tatum, when he's 900 cheaper than Embiid, I mean, he looks great. I'm not saying don't play him, but man, I haven't seen a lot of value left yet. So we'll have to really look at this. Now, let's go to the nightcap game. We have a Dallas and Clipper game. Now, if you played on Monday night, how tilted it was for the referees to call not the first tech on Porzingis, where he had a clean block, and he just pumped his fist in the air once and they give him a tech. The NBA is so damn soft. And then the second one, he went over there to save his buddy Luka, and then he gets a second tech and gets tossed. And that basically ruined my entire night with, I'm sure, a lot of others because he was pretty high owned and I was way over the field on Porzingis and under the weight on Luka. And my night was over when that happened. And I cracked a beer and went to sleep. So we are at the over-under on this game is a 229.5 over-under. So the highest over-under of the night. Clippers favored by 6. Now, again, I think recency bias is going to hit this team with Porzingis, and if people are not watching the games and understand that he got ejected, then maybe we can get lucky enough to get him at a lower price tag. Looking through and see if we have any injuries here. Shemet's going to be active. Beverly, Montrezl Harrell. So they should be at full staff here on the Clippers side. Let's look at them first on DraftKings. $10K for Kawhi Leonard. Paul George, 8,600. I will take the savings and go Paul George here. It's going to be hard to fit in some of these studs on this slate, man. I am not seeing a ton of value. Lou Williams at 5,300. I love that. That's a good price tag on him. Only put up 27 points in 31 minutes, but shot 4 for 10. I think there's way more upside there. And at 5,300, that's probably going to be decent value. Marcus Morris, man. He 32 minutes, put up 37 fantasy points. Had 13 shots. That is not like him, but I think people are going to chase that. I don't know if I really want to go there. Again, we talked about Harrell getting back. Only saw 15 minutes, put 8.5 fantasy points up. We need to see if there's any information from Doc if they're going to extend his minutes or if they're going to leave him around that 15-20 mark. If they are, I won't be on him, and I'll just keep riding Zubac. 22 minutes, put up 29 fantasy points. Again, they're 100 from each other. Pat Bev, we might have to ride him here for value. Saw 20 minutes, put up 20 fantasy points, had 5 fouls. But at that price, when we need value, and this slate looks like it's starving for value, we might be on a Pat Bev. So Reggie Jackson's at 3,200. I have a hard time going there when they're fully healthy. Saw 16 minutes, put 5 fantasy points. I think Pat Bev starts, which he should. It should be that's where we should probably look at some of the value, because I really haven't seen any of these 3K guys on DraftKings that I'm like, yep, that's the play. That's who we're probably going to be looking at. So probably going to look at Patrick Beverley at that price. He's probably going to be pretty popular. Just looking at pricing here. But let's over to the Dallas side. Luka, 11K. Man, that might be, again, Luka, 11K, Porzingis, 8,900. I think I'm going to go right back to the how I was attacking Monday's slate. And I think the teams are just going to adjust how we kind of thought it would pan out on Monday, and maybe we'll be on the better side of it. So 11K is a lot to ask for on the slate with hurting for value. Porzingis, 8,900. I think he's just squarely in play there. Tim Hardaway Jr., 5,300. Finney Smith, 4,300. Seth Curry, I think this is truly underpriced, 3,600. Saw 33 minutes, put up 23 fantasy points. So there's another piece of value we can look at. Trey Burke, 3,200. He is probable. Saw 20 minutes, put up 7 fantasy points. That's more of a GPP play, but definitely a GPP play. Kleber, 3,600. 34 minutes. I think he only put 11 fantasy points up, but I think his minutes were a little higher than they probably will be in this game with Porzingis getting the debut. Hardaway, 5,300. Put up 30 fantasy points, 36 minutes. The price isn't too bad. And again, on a slate, we're struggling for value. Heading over to FanDuel, we will look at first the Mavericks. Luka's 10.5. So Porzingis, 8,600. Love that price on Porzingis. I think I'm going to go right back to well here. Again, the game log watchers that don't watch the games, might see those minutes and say, what happened to him? Nothing. He got ejected, and he was on pace to put up a pretty nice game that maybe rivaled Tatum. So if you had the Tatum, you were living large. 19 minutes, had 25 fantasy points. If we see closer to the 36 or 38 minutes, we're seeing a 50 burger out of him. I'll take that all day long at his current 8,600 price tag. Again, Seth Curry, 4,400. I love that price tag on him. Finney Smith, 4,400. I love that. You can play Luka no problem at 10.5. I think he did have to go to the locker room. I think it was the first quarter, a couple minutes in. He did tweak his ankle. They retaped it, come back, played the whole game, so it shouldn't be a big issue at all. But just one thing to note. Let's look at the Clippers side. Kawhi Leonard, 9,600. Paul George, 8,100. Again, both guys squarely in play here. Lou Williams, 5,300. Going to be extremely popular at that price tag. Zubac, 5,100. Very similar to Monday's price tag. Harrell, they did price down because he was actually more expensive than Zubac on Monday. But again, we got to see the minutes on him. Marcus Morris, again, 4,700. Going to be very popular with that massive game that he had. And then Pat Bev at 4,300. Better FanDuel play, but again, pricing at DraftKings probably is a good play there as well, 3,600. But his game with the steals and the way he plays scrappy just kind of fits the mold better to FanDuel. But still very much in play there. And that's where I would kind of leave it, I want guys to be able to get me 30 fantasy points, and I don't see anything underneath that. But that's the games, man. Again, the first thing I can tell you is on these slates that we're going to see the exact same games we saw on Monday, don't chase game logs. Kind of put your mindset if you were that team and you are going to make adjustments to that team, and how would you stop them? So if a guy like Mitchell ended up putting a 57 burger on your team, you would do everything you can to stop him and make somebody else beat you. So do not chase that. That would be my recommendation. Had a great game. Going to have all the usage in the world. So as a game theory play, I will try to fade that and hope that does not replicate itself, or I will have another bad Monday. But those are decisions you have to make when you're building your lineups. Hope this helps. And again, if you don't mind, if you lasted this long, hit the subscribe button. Give me a thumbs up. I appreciate it. And if you're not a DFS Army member, head on over there. Sign up. We'll have cheat sheets. Going to do a showdown video for tomorrow as well. And be on the look for another prop bet video, where currently sitting at 6-1 for the playoffs. And hopefully I'll have a handful more of props if we can find some good ones to bet. So with that, I'm Craig Bennett, a.k.a. Cash Cake. I'm out. Deuces.